All right, in this, my 15th demo on animating, I hope to finish the animation cycle and to save it as a GIF and show you how that works. So this is where I was setting up my last frame. I need to change the rain, and now it's pretty automatic. Change the rain splash a little bit. There's just lots to do. And then go to the topmost turned on layer, Option, Layer, Merge Visible, Command A, Command C, Command V. So this is his movement. Starts slower and then speeds up, and then he's kind of running off. But notice his legs aren't ever going to crisscross, right? Because if I actually wanted to make his legs crisscross, that would take a lot more compositing and working with the assets, which for a GIF animation I don't really need to worry about because it all goes by so fast in that low res. Okay, so now my stage is pretty good. I think I need one more, making his tail wag a little as he leaves. I like how he has that shadow under his foot. I'm going to put him back to fuller opacity. And maybe erase out his tail just a tiny bit. About like 5% opacity of my eraser. So it kind of darkens. Okay, then I'll do Edit Puppet Warp. Lock the feet. Now, a tail is just all vertebrae, right? So it can move at a lot of different points. I think that's the last position I'll have him in. From this one to that one. Okay, now fix the rain, and I'm so close. And turn down the splash. And brighten the rain a little bit, because I'm getting back to the beginning. And then merge it all. Hold down Option, Layer, Merge Visible, Command A, Command C, Command V. And then if I want just one more, because if I feel it's moving too fast, it's easier to change it now. I'm just going to do this really fast. I'm going to take that whole dinosaur asset that I've been building and just move him off almost all the way. And in fact, I'm going to actually, I guess I got to keep it. Puppet warp this. Boom, 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 boom. Let's wag it up. Let's do an old-fashioned warp on it. Let's darken it a little, and then we'll be done with the dinosaur. Play with the rain again. And play with the splashes. Okay. Go to the topmost, hold down Option, Layer, Merge Visible. This will be my last frame. Command A, Command C, go to my stage, Command V. And then if I go back to my very first frame, the camera had moved, right? So now check out what happens. I'm going to save that. Got all my frames in. I did alter my storyboard a little bit. Instead of spitting him out, he just chews him and then walks off. Right? And that was a little bit faster. So now I'm going to test that animation. On the timeline, I'm going to make frames from layers. It has 37 layers, something like that. It's not bad. I've definitely had more. So I think I've got a lot of story within those layers. Let's play it through. Camera pans over. There he is. So one thing I wanted to fix, I don't love how bright that one is. So what can I do about it? So this is what I wanted to show you. Once you have frames, here I'm going to save the assets, just save them, and then close them, because now it's all about the frames. Once you've brought all your finished frames over, that's what we focus on. And as you play it through, you'll notice things. You can go frame by frame. Like it gets too bright here. Now all the frames do is they animate the eyeballs next to each layer. And so if I wanted to, as a little bit of a cheat, I could make this frame have a darker sky in just a very slight way by turning on, for frame 21 here, the layer behind it as well, and then decreasing the opacity of the layer in front of it. But the problem is, the layer behind it, he's a lot bigger. So I've got to find the layer where he's basically in the same position, which is about there. So layer 14. Okay, so I'm going to have on layer 23, no, not 23, where is it bright? You can see these things better when they're moving. So let me play it through. So right there, oh, that is layer 14. Okay, layer 21. So on layer 21, I want to layer that with layer 14 as well. So I turn on 14, and then I take the opacity down on, no, what is it? Frame 14 is actually layer 16. It gets confusing because I deleted some layers. So 21 is where it's too bright. I want layer 16 showing, not layer 14. And I can turn down the opacity a little bit. That doesn't really change the sky very much. So what can I do? Well, I can basically take down the opacity a little bit, and then this is cool. Just for this frame, I can take layer 16 and I can add a layer style with a color overlay that's black or dark gray. Because you can animate effects separately in different frames, right? So now it's not quite so bright as it was before, and I can take it down even a little bit more, so it better fits with the ones around it. Now if I go to layer 14 where it's also bright, let me do that same trick. Okay, so layer 16 there is back at 100%, doesn't have any effects on, but let's turn the layer on behind it, and just for this layer, I'm going to add an effect where I do a color overlay of black at 100%, so it's basically just a black panel, and then I'm going to take the opacity of layer 16 down a little bit to better match the coloring around it. So now instead of deleting those frames, I've just fixed their color just by using effects. All right, then the dinosaur comes, he bites, he chews, he leaves, and it starts over. So that's all great. The problem is at the very end, this is what's called a jump cut. He leaves, and then it immediately jumps to a new camera angle. So how do I transition it to loop, even though I don't need that in my storyboard? So I have to reconcile it with my first frame. And so I do that by getting back to my hero shot. So this is where my assets come back in, because I have all of that prepared. So I go back to opening my assets, my uncropped assets, right? Because I need the camera to pan. So I go to my documents, and I go to my uncropped assets file, right? And now I basically need to build those frames again to move the camera back to its beginning position just without the creature there. So that's not that hard, because I know it starts here. This is as far as we got. Hold down Shift. And I know that the rain's pretty dark, so let's turn these on. And I know the splashes are fairly intense, but not that intense. And now I want to move my stage off to the side again, shrink it down. Now, what I would like to be able to do is just reverse those frames, but I can't because the creature was in them. So I need to build some new frames. And I'll show you how that works once you already have your frames outputted. So what I do is I go to the top layer, hold down Option, Layer, Merge Visible, same old thing, copy, paste. Right. Now when I paste it, to move this all the way to the bottom of the frames. Now I go back to here, and I'm going to move this over to the next stop. This should go pretty fast. I just need to change the rain. Up, deselect. And I just go from the second post over. Hold down Option, Layer, Merge Visible, copy, paste in. And it's pasting them in the bottom here. Where to go? And so now in my stage, I can add a new frame and then turn off the ones I've made, right? So now it goes from this to this. It's brightening up a little bit. It starts to transition. And now I'm going to add a new one. And I copy it. And I go over here and I paste it in. And now I do one more. I just have to get back to the beginning here. Right here. Almost to that first frame. Change the rain. Going to brighten it a little bit, merge them, Option, Layer, Merge Visible. Find that next position. And then Command C, and this should be all I need now in my stage.